Yes, welcome back to MAFFS. The Make Australian Football Fun Society has risen. Happy Easter Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Great job, Teo, last week. Great job, Joe, the week before. You guys steadied the ship while I was in Australia and couldn't actually broadcast in Australia. A little issue there. I was too hot for the Australian audience to handle. So I had to come back to Barcelona to talk about Australian football. But I am back. MAFFS is back, and we heard your feedback. Obviously, 15 million listeners. A lot of emails came in about a little bit too much AFL talk. A little bit too much. What are the Hawks doing? What are the Cats doing? What's going on with the other sport thing? But that's all right. It's a wide 10. Obviously, the international listeners were a bit confused. They had no idea what AFL was. We get a huge amount of listeners in Uganda. So thank you so much. They were very confused. But look, there will not be any AFL talk this week. So with that in mind, Joe Simon, how are you? And please tell me, what did you do this afternoon?
Well, listen, I think Jack Gunston is actually quite well known in Uganda. I think he's a bit of a hero there. I did go to the Easter Monday clash. However, I also watched the A-League. So, a little bit of both. There's nothing wrong with, mixing it up a little bit of a combination. Teo, what did you watch today?
No comment. I'm gonna walk to the beat of Nick Stoll's drum as our esteemed host and refrain from letting you know. Look, I did catch the A-League today at Campbelltown as well.
Just so you know, I actually don't know who Jack Gunston is. So good luck to Jack. Hope everything works out for him better than it worked out for the guy in Perth who was the number one draft picks. This is how much I kind of understand of AFL. The guy from Perth, Reedy Steve Cook,
Basil's mate. But Nick, it is a pleasure to have you. It's been a few weeks. And a couple of weeks ago, Teo and I did the podcast by ourselves, as you mentioned, and worldwide praise there. But it was the first time in a very long time that I've hosted the podcast. I mean, we all have our roles here. When we've got a full strength lineup, Nick, you steady the ship. There's no AFL nonsense going on. But suddenly I found myself hosting, and I have a little bit more respect of what you do now. I was caught in the headlights. And Teo, how much do you weigh? Like, I didn't know what to ask.
How about what I was going to say is the amazing thing about me hosting. You say I steady the ship. I think I do, but I also take us into troubled waters a lot. I like to steady the ship just so we can go somewhere more crazy. James is already coming in, and please get your comments in. Like, subscribe, do all the things that helps us grow the podcast. James is in the Easter spirit. He says, "Praise the Lord, no AFL." So, this is, and you know what? All this AFL talk, it makes me respect Josh Parrish a little bit more, because the only reason I'm not into AFL is because I fled Victoria as a young immigrant when I was 9 years old to get away from it. And I never kind of had to worry about it ever since. But Josh has been in the heart of AFL land and still stays strong to football. So that is incredible. But look, we should start the show with the question that is on everyone's lips. What made Australian football fun for you this week? Teo Pellizzeri, take it away, my friend.
Ryan Scott dancing after making saves, not penalty saves, in-game saves, and with considerable amount of time left on the clock. I feel as though Ryan Scott, I don't know if he's a fan of the NFL, where after a defensive lineman makes a tackle, he'll do a celebration dance, or after there's an interception or a fumble and a turnover, the entire defensive unit will run to the other team's end zone to pose for the cameras. I think Ryan Scott, he was already known as the greatest hype man. We all thought he should have been the Socceroos' third choice keeper because he's the best dressing room influence, and it's kind of Paddy Mills with the towel waving on the sideline. But now that he's actually starting every week in the A-League, he is proving himself to be a really good goalkeeper as well. And his performance in getting Newcastle a 0-0 draw against Melbourne City came with the sort of theatrics that you would normally associate with a team that, one, has an owner, and two, is a lot higher on the
table. Maybe Ryan Scott is the owner. That's why he's dancing. That's why he's celebrating. You know what, Joe, I love this idea. Like Teo was saying, in the NFL, every time a defender makes a clearance or a tackle or whatever, there should be a dance celebration. I want a full on, Teo, we saw this week with the Mariners, they had their own kind of special celebration that they did with the women's team. I feel like defenders need to be doing more choreographed celebration. What do you say, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for it. I think we saw in the Socceroos game, and it was a couple months ago now, a young defender came on and celebrated kicking the ball out for a throw instead of a corner. He went wild. He went bananas, and I love that.
Yeah.
I also love to see a keeper and a defender after a good clearance or a good save or a parry aside when they get together and give each other a little cuddle. I think it's underappreciated. I'm here for it.
You know what? One of my favorite ones as well is like when there's a crunching tackle from like a real hard man center back, and then they just kind of stand over the other player, like knowing like, yeah, I smashed you, I got the ball, it's all fine, and like a good like stare down as well. Oh, it's just great to see. But Teo, you bring up Ryan Scott. Do you think that because Ryan Scott, we were talking about like one of the funnest players in the league, and really, who cares so much who is the goalkeeper for the A-League All-Stars team? But do you think Ryan Scott should be, because he brings that little bit of entertainment factor? We need fun. Everyone's talking about who should be an all-star, you know, who should be the best players. Don't worry about the best players. It should be who the funnest players are. In a few weeks, I think we're going to go through, we're going to give our own A-League All-Star team. But Teo, do you think Ryan Scott should be included?
There's one very simple reason why Ryan Scott should be included. It's because we love him because he's a Victorian, and the A-League All-Stars team will be wearing navy blue with a white V, and they will be playing Newcastle United at the mighty MCG, or is it at Docklands? It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's why I'd pick him, because he's a Victorian.
You know, it's actually, when you think about it, we've got a couple of characters in goalkeepers. You've got, obviously, Andrew Redmayne, who is the Grey Wiggle. And actually, speaking of the Grey Wiggle, we're talking about A-League nicknames as well today. So let us know your favourite A-League nicknames. Let us know the ones that you've been making up. One of my favourite is the Great Barrier Chief that Joe Simon came up with, which was sensational.
Has he played a single minute of A-League since you gave him that nickname? Or like the real Great Barrier Reef, has he actually been getting steadily eroded by chemical undermining?
It hasn't been a good month for the Chief since all his praise on our pod. Hopefully he recovers quickly. I mean, they're doing a lot of repairs work to the reef, and hopefully the same thing can happen to the big man.
Will the UN write a press release about the eradication of the Great Barrier Chief and how he needs global support? That would be incredible to see. But
and then we'll get Waddingham deniers who claim that his game time and his goal scoring record is actually just fine, and all these climate catastrophists around the climate of game time around Thomas Waddingham have been completely overstating it. And then we'll find a little schoolgirl from somewhere in Brisbane, and she'll say, "How dare you? How dare you not put Thomas Waddingham in the starting 11? You've stolen Brisbane Raw's future." Anyway, that tangent, I think, has run its course.
This is like I said, this is why you tune into MAFFS, right? You tune in because you think maybe you might hear some A-League, maybe you might even hear some AFL, but will you hear some climate change satire regarding Greta Thunberg in relation to a Brisbane Raw striker?
I wouldn't have thought so.
You cannot beat these tangents. And I was just going to say, the other character that we have in the A-League in terms of goalkeepers is Philip Curto, with his kind of like over-enthusiastic attempted saves when the ball sails right out. I love to see it. Joseph Ciccone has got in touch via YouTube, and keep these comments coming in. He says, "Thank God we're Stoll here. We can talk about the real stories this week. Are the umpires using a different set of rules for Jack Guinevan?" I want to say, is that his name? Jack Guinea?
The minivan. Yeah, they call him the minivan.
Oh, good nickname.
A degree of irony given today we had MacArthur versus Western Sydney Wanderers, which of course was the origin of the stigma.
It's true.
Yeah,
it seems as though the stigma has been punted over the border because Wanderers won today. So I assume that means that the stigma no longer exists.
Well, look, I couldn't even tell you who Jack Guinevan plays for, but I like that his nickname is the minivan, and I hope if he is a minivan, it's a environmentally friendly one, because we need to protect the Great Barrier Chief up in Brisbane.
Well done.
Joe, what made Australian football fun for you this week?
Well, there was a lot to talk about in the Adelaide Western United game. 4-1 that finish. Irankunda looking confident. This isn't what made Australian football fun for me this week, but I did like with every finish the celebration was a bit more each time. Started with the Ronaldo Sue, then he went the simple backflip, then he went the complex backflip. The simple backflip, the humble backflip. He's
going to the Olympics. He's just this is just the warm up, the floor routine.
So I do wonder if Clough handed him the penalty for a fourth goal. What happens there? How do you, I don't know how you up a double somersault cartwheel backflip. but
Okay,
I'm keen to find out.
Here's what I reckon you got to do right now. It's going to involve pissing off the goalkeeper, but that's okay. That's okay if you're Irankunda. So you score the penalty. First of all, you do a panenka to do the penalty. Then you jump up onto the crossbar. You hold yourself on the crossbar. Do a couple of chin-ups, pull-ups. Like really show off your thing. Right. Then, and if you ever seen like someone do this at the gym, it's really intimidating, and really only like gymnasts can do it. They kind of, I don't know what you call, Joe, probably you know what you push yourself up.
It's called a power up.
Yeah, it's a power up. So basically, you pull yourself up from the chin up position, and then you push it down so your arms are straight, and the bar is now at your hip. And then you do that, and then a backflip dismount, land it. Then, but this do not stop there, my friend. This is not there, my friend. Then you get everyone who was on the bench to hold up the number 10 sign, a la the judges in like a gymnastics class. Then you get all the 10s. Then keep the celebration going because they can't restart the game until your celebration's over. Then hold a medal ceremony for yourself. Give yourself the gold medal. Play the national anthem. Pause for the national anthem. Sing the national anthem proudly, which was I think MAFFS episode 0. We talked about the importance of singing the national anthem. Do a full Advanced Australia Fair musical routine. This may take over half an hour, but that's okay.
Are we doing the second verse?
Yeah, 100%. Second verse. We're doing all the verses that I think like there's a verse towards the end that might be a little bit, racist at the end. It's like immigrants can't come here or whatever. I don't know. No, I don't know. Don't you remember that in high school when you learned?
I only know the radio edit. I'm not sure the uncut version.
There's the adults only version. Sorry, there's the whites only version. Anyway, yeah, go on.
No, if there's more to this celebration, I want to hear it. Okay, continue, please.
So then we're basically, because we're simulating winning the gold medal at the Olympics, then what you've got to do, you've got to stop the game. Then you've got to kind of go around the stadium, like waving at everyone. Then you've got to go into an open top bus parade down, if you're in Adelaide, down to the city centre, back to the stadium. And then after all that, you can restart the game. Now, it might be the next day by the time this all happens, but that's how I think you'd up the game for a fourth goal. Too much?
No, well, look, I like that you haven't thought about it much and it's just off the cuff. You know what I mean? But what I would like to see is what's the longest the player has run? Just on laps of the...
Oh, yeah. You want to say like a good, like kind of 10,000 meter...
Yeah, 1,500.
Yeah, well, here's the problem: you'd have to stay within the opposition half because you couldn't go back over the halfway line because then they could just kick off, right? So you need to be quite strategic about it. I don't know. I mean, you can get booked for time wasting, can't you?
You could get booked for time wasting. Teo, what do you think?
I think it's 3 national anthems. It's Australia, then it's Burundi, then it's Tanzania. Yeah. And Graham Arnold has to stand there and watch him sing all 3 until he actually caps him. Triple national anthem.
You know what? Just on Irankunda, and we'll get into the game. And it was incredible. But look, I don't want to be too much of a narc. So this is going to be a little secret between the MAFFS fraternity. All right. So all of us here, all of us watching, listening, the 15 million of us, we're going to keep this secret. We're not going to get him in trouble for this. But it was very funny. All right. So Irankunda posted on his Instagram. This is public knowledge. I'm not breaking any, exclusives or anything, but it's public knowledge. Irankunda, I think he's got some deal with a local car dealership of some kind, Hyundai or Isuzu. I don't know. Some car company has given him a car to drive around. It makes sense. He's a very famous person in Australia now, in Adelaide. He's a local hero, soon to go to Bayern Munich. And he posted on Instagram, as a lot of young people do when they get these kind of deals. And he said, thanks. I can't remember who it was, but let's say thanks Hyundai.
Hyundai, yeah.
It was Hyundai. All right. Thanks Hyundai for the car. Great. If you want to go to Hyundai Adelaide and get your local, car, great car. Da, da, da. The photo that he posted, it was an odd background as well. It was just some very outer suburban part of Adelaide.
It's trees, a lot of sky.
Yeah. It was a strange background choice.
It was out of suburban. Thanks, Hyundai. The petrol I'll need just to drive to and from civilization makes this car not worth it.
But the best part about it was, and look, Irankunda's a young guy. He's going to make mistakes. A little bit of maybe advice that someone could give him before maybe uploading the photo. He's parked across 2 disabled parking spots as he takes the photo. And like it doesn't look great now. Look, there wasn't anyone around clearly, so he wasn't taking anyone's spot. But you can clearly see that he's over 2 disabled parking spots. What is worse is there's about 4 empty non-disabled parking spots right next to him. Could have easily done it there, but he's, this is why we love Irankunda. He's just, you never know what you're going to get. He's rash. He goes through it quickly. He's all impulse, and he just took the photo quickly, uploaded it, and there you go. And it doesn't seem like anyone was offended, but I thought it was
not ready to go overseas, mate. Like that's sort of been disciplined. He's just not ready to go overseas. Massively overhyped. I mean, this league never markets itself, but the most exciting player is massively overhyped.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? The funny thing about it is, I mean, I'm sure the Germans looked at that photo and was like, all right, we're going to have to teach him how to park. This is the lesson number 1 when he arrives. Is okay.
Germany probably looked at Australia and said, what a nanny state.
But yeah, so Irankunda,
Irankunda.
A sensational footballer, maybe not the best parker.
Hey, but I didn't even get to, just going back to the Adelaide Western United game. That wasn't even what made it fun for me this week.
Oh, sorry,
we're just getting started.
Yeah.
I know, I didn't finish. So there's nothing, I didn't really appreciate this. It's one of those things that you forget about, and then it happens, and you're like, hang on a minute. This is exciting. This is fun. I'm making a new hashtag, random Reds. So I love when the referee stops play. If you're watching on the TV, you don't know what's happening. The camera kind of pans. What are we looking at? Then we see a player on the ground and a player kind of looking confused. The Tomoki red card out of nowhere. I love this. And it made me think of this. I don't know. I'm going back to the Premier League here a few years ago when Cesc Fabregas, the game had stopped. He had a corner. He just kicked the ball into someone's head, got a red card. The camera didn't know where to look, didn't know what happened. You don't remember this. There was a corner kick, but the player was down, injured. I'm going to find out who it was. I think it was against West Brom or something. And he was sick of it. So he just took the corner, hit a player in the head. Player went down. Fabregas gets a red card. An absolute random red.
Because they determined that he had deliberately smashed the ball into the opposition.
The game had not restarted yet. So he just kicked the ball. He was just kicking the ball. I know.
It's a good hit.
It's a good hit. I mean, he's always been a good player, but this Tomoki red card, I had no idea what was happening. I mean, you do see the replay, but there's nothing more fun than just a bit of spice out of absolutely nowhere.
Just on Western United, but also on the Germans. How many Socceroos caps would Michael Roos already have if he had a less ethnic name? I feel as though if his name was Anglo, he would be Australia's answer to Matt Simon. Shit stirrer extraordinaire, this guy. I have no idea if he's good at football. All he does, he's like the guy that's out there that's the big mouth in cricket who's just sledging nonstop. And he doesn't need to bat or bowl because his mouth takes wickets on its own. And Michael Roos, I know he has a penalty missed this year, couple of goals. He's just a big target man, plank of wood type. And he's deceptively young. I mean, he's in the same team as Angus Thurgate, so maybe everything's relative, right? But he is deceptively young, and I just wonder what his future holds, because will Western United persist with him next season? Or, I just kind of wonder, some of the things he does wouldn't fly in NPL Victoria. There are some car parks he wouldn't get out of, and I just wonder what his future holds. Probably Northern New South Wales NPL. I'm thinking at some stage in the future, but hopefully for his sake, he does actually develop into a potential Socceroo.
Aaron says via Twitter, if Roos was playing for a Scottish Prem team and not Western, he'd have at least 3 caps. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I think he needs a rebrand. And I like what you said, a shit stirrer. Well, maybe we call him the Sydney shit stirrer, right? So everyone is just aware that he's from Australia. It's a good brand, everyone knows what you're getting. It's almost like we need a few more villains in the league. Matt Simon was good because you love to hate him when he wasn't on your team. You love him when he's on your team. So the Sydney
If Roos played for a team with a bigger fan base and thus had people to come and defend his behaviour every week, that would antagonize other fan bases. I think the issue is he can wind up oppositions with big fan bases as much as he wants, but he needs his own fan base to justify his behaviour in order to really become a true villain.
100%. Look, we should get into this Adelaide for Western United one. Irankunda, the hat-trick. So we're talking about nicknames. Do you like my human highlight reel nickname for him? Do you think that is sufficient? Because I can't think of one better. Have you got anything for that, Joe?
I like it. I do like it. It's a bit wordy. It's a bit long. I think, but no, that's how these things start. They evolve. It's become the human highlight reel.
The HR.
Human, the HR. That's right. But we need something. I've heard a few people call him the jellyfish.
Well, yes, but we had one comment come in. I think it was from Alan. He said, Alan on Twitter, he said, when Irankunda first broke through, my parents called him jellyfish after the Irankunda jellyfish. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing.
Irankunda. I think it's the name of the Australian surfing team on the Olympics.
What?
The Irankundis. I'm going to have to Google that. I
might look that up. We should call him Irankunda because what he does should be illegal. That right foot is the sort of weapon that you could only sell off the books to the Sandinistas in Nicaragua. You couldn't legally sell that right foot. It is a certified weapon. So maybe we should call him. I know it's a very dated reference, and most of our audience's parents are too old to understand it, but I think we should call him Irankunda.
Well, you know what? Do you remember actually? I mean, Teo, probably you might remember this, Joe. I'm not so sure. It was a long time ago. Back in the day on the 6-hour Sunday afternoon, the World Games, Damien Lovelock had a section, and they used to do like the best.
Jack Mundy, the great strikes.
The great strikes was Jack Mundy, but the ground-to-air missiles, the Donald Rumsfelds, I believe they were called, right? They were for the great free kicks, basically.
I'm going to go and watch Vice again after tonight, aren't I?
So maybe we need that. We need the Adelaide missile or something, or the man with the weapons of mass destructions in his legs or something.
So, call him Pine Gap because something's going on there that could destroy the world.
Look, let us know if you've got a better nickname than the human highlight reel, the weapons of mass destruction, Irankunda. Let us know what we got. But look, a sensational hat trick and a really kind of good way for him to kind of. No, I know his time isn't up at Adelaide. Still got a few more games there, but it was really nice to see because he's such a excitement and it's such an exciting player, and the hat trick itself, the quality of it was so special, wasn't it, Joe?
It was really good, and it was just good to see him have confidence back. He started the season on fire, as we spoke about at length at the start of our careers on MAFFS. But he has, it's been up and down kind of since the red card, really, and he only has the 6 goals for the season. So it was really good, and each finish was a little bit more confident than the last. You could see the second one was a bit more instinctual, and then it was just good to see him back playing really, really free and with speed. It seems like he was playing. We know how pacey he is, but it has been a little while since he's kind of utilized that pace and just been confident with it. It was really, really good to see him back.
Yeah, and you know what was amazing? The first goal that he scored, Zach Clough. Please tell me, Zach Clough, that you're claiming credit for that assist because it was a complete mishit, but it went perfectly into Irankunda's path. If Cesc Fabregas had done it, it would have been called the greatest assist.
It would have been a red.
Time.
Yeah,
it would have been a red. Yeah, exactly. Too dangerous. But yeah, it was a special night, and it is interesting because there has been a lot of talk that he's. From Arnie, that he's not yet ready for international football. And, there's also, like you said, Teo, people saying that he's overhyped and, there's talk about, he needs to sort this out and this out. But, when he's on form, he's one of, the most exciting player in the league.
The tension of Irankunda was on show within this game because he committed an orangey sort of challenge as well. Like he could have just as easily been sent off, and you could see how emotional he got about committing that foul and getting in his own head about potentially committing a red card offense. But this is part of the ride. I mean, I really don't understand why so many people have resented it. We all know he's leaving at the end of the season. If you haven't enjoyed it, it's over soon. Most people are enjoying it. It's one of the best things the A-League's got going for it at the moment.
Yeah, and you saw the amount of kids who wanted his autograph at the end of the game. It was incredible to see. Joe, just before we leave this match, just on Irankunda, are you worried at all about how, we got hyped by Daniel Arzani leaving Melbourne City and going to Manchester City or Celtic, where he went on loan. Garang Kuol more recently left the Mariners, signed for Newcastle United, went on loan to a couple of clubs, hasn't quite worked out. We have a history of these very exciting young players going to big teams. Irankunda's going to Bayern Munich, doesn't get much bigger than that.
Yep.
And not finding game time, not getting the right loan moves, and getting a bit lost in the system. Do you think he will be different, or is that a big concern for you?
It's kind of, there's two ways you can go about it. I look at someone like Jamal Musiala, who moved over there and immediately made the first team. They recognized his talent, they persisted with him, and now he's a superstar. Like, there is a case that Bayern, a team as big as Bayern, can take these young stars and slot them in and implement them in the system, and it works. But if that's not the plan for him, I would like to see a loan that's a low pressure loan, if that makes sense. I don't mean really in the Bundesliga at all. There's been a few in the Dutch league. You can go there. I've seen there's a few players for Tottenham.
Funny you
Chelsea
said the Dutch league. I was thinking, do they send him to somewhere that's below sea level in order to try and create literally a low pressure loan? So
low pressure. Oh, I love that.
Send him to the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Like we saw this problem as well. I mean, he's not Australian, but Sarpreet Singh, when he left Wellington Phoenix, and we were like, oh, yeah, what an amazing player he is. He's had injuries and stuff, but it doesn't seem to have really worked out for him. It seems like his career's stalled a little bit, which is a disappointment. Is it something that you're concerned about with Irankunda, or do you think he's going to be different?
No, absolutely. I think it's high ceiling, high, low floor, and all the pitfalls of other players that have gone overseas at a young age will apply in an even more concentrated fashion here. The only thing that might help is the size of the transfer fee means that Bayern are slightly more pot committed. And in a world of financial fair play, you can't just throw money away, unless you plan on cheating. But particularly in Germany with 50+1, Bayern are about to not win the Bundesliga for the first time in a decade. And that's going to bring a heightened level of focus onto everything they do with their transfer behavior, and immediately writing off, 3 million euros. That may seem like a trifling amount, but let's not forget Barcelona flew across the world to play the A-League All-Stars on a 3-day break for 2 million clean euros to help out their financial fair play and also their club debt situation. So it's not like it's nothing. It would have been nothing in an arms race, but in a world of FFP, it actually is something. So hopefully that means that Bayern's level of investment mean that they have to see it through with Irankunda rather than treat it as, if he walks in the door and doesn't impress them or gives a bad first impression, they might have him on the exit ramp, quite quickly.
Yeah, well, look. Sorry, go on, Joe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's interesting as well that Thomas Tuchel won't be there at the end of the season. Now, I'm not sure if Tuchel was the man to say, I need to have Irankunda in my side, but it will be a change. It will be a change of management. So you don't know what that brings. If it's an older style manager who wants more experience, then, and the thing is with a team like Bayern, who have Musiala, Harry Kane, Leroy Sané, Thomas Muller still kicking around. They've got Matthias Tell, who's a young, really, really promising striker. Serge Gnabry, who else is there? Kingsley Coman. So that they are stocked with professional, experienced attackers. So hopefully the new manager that comes in sees something in him or lets him go somewhere he's going to be playing every week.
And Xabi Alonso formally turned them down just this weekend. So I don't know what the odds say the new Bayern manager will be, but as it stands, it is more likely to be Karl Wirth than it is Xabi Alonso. And that would be quite the twist.
Really good.
You know what?
I'd like that.
Just on Wirth, I remember when Josh Parrish gave him the nickname, the human handbrake, which looking at this season and his kind of treatment of Irankunda does seem quite apt. But when the human the human highlight reel meets the human handbrake, it's
the human headline. Darren Hinch is getting involved in the A-League. I love it.
It's the ultimate battle, to see who will win. But look, he's playing for, I think, 4 more games with Adelaide this season. They're unlikely to make the 6, but go out and watch him if you can. And if he's parking near you, good luck to your car, because it seems like it doesn't really get it between the lines. Speaking of between the lines, Melbourne City 0, Newcastle Jets 0. Teo, you were commentating this game. Although it's 0, I did find it exciting just because how desperate Melbourne City were to try and score and how determined Newcastle Jets were to stop them. And it turned out to be quite easy.
Sometimes I really care if a game is 0-0 because I didn't get a highlight out of it. Not the case here. This was Ryan Scott's dancing. Melbourne City turned around and play on Tuesday night in Australia. So this game's relevance has effectively burnt out already. The Newcastle ownership situation and their team showing fight and character is probably the longer term takeaway out of this game. It's kind of strange in that Perth Glory, now that the ownership situation is sorted, tickets sorted. Sorry, I did an Optus shift this weekend, and every ad break, Daniel Garb's voice. Tickets sorted. Shout out to Garby.
Has not got over here in Barcelona, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
No,
Could be an AFL reference.
It's a Tottenham travel company that advertises. Yeah, they're paying my wage because they're advertising literally every ad break on Optus. But you hear that ad, tickets. So enough. All right, back to the football. So Newcastle, they seemed to be where Perth Glory were when they were singing for their supper. Before Pellizzeri came into the Glory, they were getting amazing results. Their A-League women's team was top of the league. And then ever since the owner arrived, both teams have been in a nosedive. To be fair, the women's nosedive started a little bit before the owner came in, but it continued after the owner came in. Perth continued to sink like a stone in the men's. And I just wonder if the jeopardy of we're playing for this club's existence is actually one of the greatest motivators, which, newsflash people, everyone keeps saying if we have promotion and relegation, it'll kill clubs. Well, look how much playing for your club's existence motivates them to play. That aside.
Can you imagine a relegation playoff where literally the club has to fold who loses? Oh, that would be unbelievable.
Well, I think it's because most clubs can't envisage a future of austerity measures because everyone running that club knows that they won't be there as a result because their full-time jobs will not exist in a non-full-time professional club. Not to make light of it. Okay, so the other thing is Newcastle's women's team, the day before the men came out and got that stirring 0-0 draw, won by the record club margin, men's or women's, in any A-League game. They went and beat Adelaide 8-0. They scored 8 goals from 2.38 XG. So it was literally, shoot from anywhere, half court, full court, corner threes. They were just sinking them from everywhere. But I think really it is a sign that the existential crisis around Newcastle is actually causing the entire club to unify and fight for their existence. And while that is great for now, obviously, you hope that it results in an owner coming in, but it isn't also met with the kind of, malaise, lull, exhale that has come with Perth Glory actually securing their future. And we're in a total guessing game now as to what the future of the Glory looks like because of the downturn in performance.
Hey, speaking of guessing game, Joe, Jamie McLaren on the bench again for Melbourne City. If you had to guess, is he going to be there next season? Doesn't seem like it.
No, I don't think so. Usually our newsbreaker extraordinaire is Teo randomly in commentary of a game. But if Wellington are looking for a high profile...
I think you'll find that was Teo Pellizzeri, different spell. Thank you very much.
Very good footballer. I don't know. I don't know that he will be there. Part of me thinks he really loves the club. I know that doesn't mean much if a big offer comes in, especially for a new team like Wellington or the Tassie Devils. But for me, I don't know. I just think Jamie McLaren kind of doesn't want to leave. Do you guys think he wants to leave the club?
I think he'll go because in spite of the last couple of months, his scoring record, any agent can turn that into a significant salary in pretty much anywhere in the AFC. So, yes, I do think he will go.
Also, sorry, Simon in the comments says, you mean Auckland, right? Yes, I do, Simon. Sorry, it's been a big Easter Monday, a few hot cross buns. I'm getting a bit confused. Chris Wood scored again on the weekend, a little flick header. So, yes, I do mean Auckland, and I don't mean the Tassie Devils. But just on this game also, when was the last time you saw a player as furious, as angry Arslan who got it? Was it McLaren that got on his?
No, it was Yaklish. It was Yaklish who got to it. Yaklish, who scored one A-League goal in like 20 games this season. So, it really was like, you can imagine the running back is running for the end zone and the big defensive lineman comes in and tries to steal the football off him. What are you doing? Get out of our way.
Yeah,
we know that Arslan goes toys out of the pram, though, because he did that after the Perth Glory game when he got himself rubbed out for the Johnny Warren medal by getting that 4-week suspension.
Speaking of nicknames, does that make him the Turkish Ruben Zadkovic or something? Like if we had to, the Turkish Mark Rudin?
Yeah, I like angry Arslan. What do you think?
Angry Arsene, like Angry Anderson from back in the day.
Yeah, like Angry Anderson, exactly.
I don't actually even know who that is, but
I'm not sure. I've heard of him.
The alliteration sticks. Is he a singer? Did he play AFL?
Yeah. I know, but I think he played in the AFL Grand Final, didn't he, Teo?
Yeah. Wasn't he like sort of like a poor man's Jimmy Barnes? I don't know what band he was actually in, but yeah, he he was a real 90s act. He's the sort of guy that would, if he was doing the musical act on at the end of Hey Hey It's Saturday, that's sort of the Angry Anderson wheelhouse right there.
I think and I know, sorry, Stoll, I know we like to pull on ideas from other sports, but I believe Angry Anderson performed at the AFL Grand Final a long time ago. Teo, did he come out in the Batmobile?
He did, yes. They only talk about this on SEN literally every day, Joe. But we can talk about it here on MAFFS if you want.
Just quickly explain to me, why was he coming out of a Batmobile?
SEN, you wake up, you talk about Dermy in the 1989 Grand Final, you talk about Angry Anderson in 1991 with the Batmobile, and then you go to your first ad break of the morning. Dwayne's World, you call, you get on.
Dwayne's World, that's brilliant. I'm not a big SEN listener, but maybe I should be with this content.
Shut up. Why was he in a Batmobile?
Yeah, I need clarification too.
Because it was 1991 and the Grand Final was at Waverley Park.
AFL's so hilarious, man.
It was blue. The Batmobile isn't blue, is it?
It was blue in 1991.
1991, mate. You know what? It's just woke. It's just gone woke. It's gone black because it's gone woke. This
stupid woke Batmobile.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, if an A-League player, if you're struggling right now for form, just blame woke. Just Jamie McLaren, you're not scoring because of the woke A-League or because of the woke Aurelio Vidmar decision making. Oscar asking the question via YouTube, is Jackalish still a Socceroos outsider once he goes back to France, or is his chance up? I don't know. Maybe he needs to move to Scotland. That seems to be where we get most of our Socceroos.
The only way he could plausibly make the Socceroos is if he changed to playing it right back. If he went to the one position where we actually need someone as a winger, no. Start open and shut, no. He'd have to change position.
All right. Look, just quickly, speaking of Socceroos, Melbourne City, they might miss the 6, but they've had the 2 biggest wins this season, 7-0 and 8-1. According to the Graham Arnold Asian Cup success scale, are they not the best team in the league, Teo?
Well, why do you even need to make the top 6 if you're already top of that table?
Exactly.
They've won already.
They've got the 2 top spots.
To be fair, all they need to do is, speak a little bit of Uzbek Russian, or maybe sign a player from the Uzbek Premier League, and they will have ticked every box.
RB Sidzik to
do they have the deed poll name change papers for Michael Roos? They can kill a lot of birds with one stone here.
the Sydney shitstirrer. RB Sidzik to Central Coast Mariners 0. Sydney FC starting to pick up a bit of form. The press is working, Joe. Mariners looked a bit pressed. You know, they've been in good form lately, but it does seem like maybe come finals time, Sydney FC could be a bogey team because of how well this press is working. What do you think?
A Bogan team from the Bogan press.
Did I say? I thought I said bogey, but
no, you did say bogey team. You did say bogey. You're Buffalo English. No. They could be. What I really liked about this game, especially, I want to highlight. It was Joel King's goal.
Yeah, 1,000.
It was 1,000th. It was a 2-shotter. So the first shot was so clinical and calculated, even though it was an amazing clearance off the line. And then he did it again. He didn't lose his head, and those moments can win games and can win finals if you want to talk about a bogey team. So absolutely. And I think the style that they play, they suffocate teams. They're always pressing, they're always moving, and they've got Joe Lolly is in great form. He's been great all season, the Candy Man. Do you think they can cause some
Candy Man?
Do you think they can cause some trouble in the finals?
Well, I do. Yeah, I think they're going to be a very annoying team to play. Look, kind of for a long time, I've suspected that if you had a team very, very good in the press in the A-League, now it's a little bit harder to press in the A-League because of it's played in the heat and that has its issues and, smaller squads. So how well you can sustain a little bit of a run of injuries. But I think that they're going to do really well come the finals. I think most teams are going to struggle to play against them. The one team that I think maybe might be okay against them is Wellington. Maybe because Wellington doesn't really like to hold on to the ball too often. They're happy just to, if you press, we're going to go straight over the top to Barbarouses. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that is. But Teo, any thoughts on this match?
I was in the land. I was sound asleep, getting ready to go and edit mini matches in at Optus. So if you want my thoughts on Chelsea versus Burnley, more than happy to give those. But Sydney FC against Central Coast, not so much. I apologise.
Great, you have to get ability to listen to a Dwayne's World in the morning. It's only a few hours away.
Great flick from Sterling to set up Cole Palmer. That was incredible. Wellington 1, Brisbane 0. So okay, this is my question, right? Wellington are doing really good this season. We've seen a lot of clips come out of Giancarlo Italiano's press conferences. He just seems like a really cool, nice guy, funny guy, takes everything, kind of normal, right? We've seen Ange in Premier League be praised just for talking like a normal human being, for treating people normally, this kind of down-to-earth coach. Joe, is Giancarlo Italiano, is he adopting the Angism that is be a good bloke, just chill, no worries in the press conferences, and reaping the rewards? Because it feels like his players love to play for him, and it just feels like there's all this talk about culture and no dickhead culture at every team and blah blah blah. It does feel like he's built that there.
He does. And look, it is easy to be so relaxed when you're on top of the table and you're performing so well every week and you're so difficult to defeat. I think that's why maybe he's got a little bit of a relaxed tone. But what I think a few weeks ago on MAFFS, we kind of referenced him to De Zerbi in the style that Wellington play. And then I think a few weeks after that, he came out and said, hang on a minute.
Is he Italiano De Zerbi?
That's good. That's really good. But I think in press conferences, he's adopting a bit of the Ange Cuddly Bear styles, because you don't want the De Zerbi in the press conference. No, you absolutely don't want that. No. He's a bit of an angry arslan sometimes. So yes, I think he has, and I think it's working for him. And I think that's kind of the tone of voice that he speaks to with his players. Maybe that's why you think they love playing for him, because if this is the guy, who wouldn't want to play for this guy?
Yeah, totally. Honestly, I think he seems like a great guy, and that's not just because he DM'd me once on Twitter to explain something. I mean, all the coaches
right. He did. Yes.
Yeah.
Was what he explained. Listen here, F-face. Wrong Wellington coach. I apologize. Wrong Wellington coach. Yes.
Wrong DM. Well, we've got. I got good relationships with everyone. Look, let's move on to Victory 2, Perth 1. A double for Fornaroli. It's kind of looks like he's going to win the Golden Boot now, I would say, just because it feels like Perth and Newcastle, in terms of Taggart and Stamatopoulos, just don't create enough chances maybe to get them up. Whereas, Victory hit form again, and hopefully they are. But the big question, Teo, Arzani, is he back in contention for the Socceroos after this performance? Assists, runs, creating chances. Your face is telling me no, but my heart is telling me yes.
only because we've been prisoners of the moment to Daniel Arzani on so many occasions. How many times are we going to go back to the well? I almost feel as though we need to wait for him to play really badly, but do something that Graham Arnold would love, and then call him up.
Play him right back.
Play him right. Yeah. Him and Marin Yakalish can go into a right back off. So, look, the short answer is no. Not least because I think a lot of the other players we're clamoring for to see more game time in the Socceroos play in Arzani's position, assuming he's a winger. So, no, sorry. Look, Melbourne Victory. It's funny to shout out another podcast for Vuck's sake. I listen to their pod quite regularly now, pretty much every week, especially ever since their season has started to decline, because they are so done with Tony Popovic. Like they could have a late run and finish in the top 2. They could win the grand final. They do not want his. I mean, it's only they speak, I think, with authority from a club point of view. They are so done with this football. And I even, we've won, but at what cost is kind of the feeling after every 3 points for them now, because the bad results are the troughs of the lows. are so much lower than whatever little fix you get from a win as a trade-off. So, I do wonder just how good Victory actually felt about winning this game, because they're probably meandering towards a proper contract renewal that the fan base doesn't really want. But, the state of 777, the state of the overall league, what sort of pulling power does Melbourne Victory have, and what coach could they possibly replace Popper with? It's not like the fan base is going to, resonate with Arthur Pappas coming in. So, what
Thomas
direction?
Tuchel, coach swap, maybe?
Well, he was in Melbourne for the Australian Open, I think last year or 2 years ago. So he likes the city. Well, I don't know, maybe he doesn't, but he likes the tennis enough.
I guess my point is Victory won, but I'm not sure their fan base, obviously there's a lot of, straight up and down cheer for the Victory fans who just, maybe don't follow the rigmarole of media and discussion during the week, who probably enjoyed that game. But I'm not sure the ones who are clued in and following every ebb and flow actually necessarily are enjoying the wins along the way at the moment.
Joe, you interested in taking over the Melbourne Victory job if the fans called for it?
I could, you know what? I could give it a good crack. No,
yeah,
I don't think so.
Job share?
Yeah, if I take time out of my Monday nights, yeah, absolutely. My heart does say yes to Arzani as well. So I'm kind of with you because, look, it's just sometimes when we get frustrated watching the Socceroos, it's because we're not creating enough chances. That's common. It's the common theme with we're not making chances. What are we doing with the ball? Why are we passing it backwards? And in this game, it wasn't an assist, but there was a pass forward that Arzani got like a back heel little touch on, like a little flick. I think it did set up the Fornaroli's first goal, actually. Moved on to someone else, Fornaroli scored. It's those little instinctual flicks and movements that he makes that I think, if you're playing Mitch Duke, if you're playing Yengi up front, he could really, connect with those people as well, like he has done with Fornaroli. So
I'm not interested in if he can do it for Melbourne Victory. I want to know if he can do it for Bunyodkor or Istiklal. Yeah. If he can do it there, then we can call him up to the Socceroos.
You know what? This is what I think, right? I think we've got some dead rubbers coming up because we've already qualified for the next round of the AFC or whatever, right? Arnie, come on, man. Just do one game where you just go full fun, all right? Garan Qual on one wing, Arzani on another wing, Cumdog through the middle, or Fornaroli or whatever, Hrustic in behind, forget even playing with a centre-back, play an outfield player in goals, get a horse on for a last-minute corner. Come on, Arnie. Let's have some fun, bro. Now's the time. All right, you got the credit in the bank. It's all good. But yeah, I don't know. Joe,
we've qualified. The next game is against Bangladesh. Now, I believe last time we played them, it was 7-0, quite quickly as well. So absolutely, it's the time.
Josh Parrish did mention that Bangladesh were intimidated by playing on even grass, and many of their players, remember, had to adjust for not having to chase their first touch every time they got the ball. So we might be, horse might not be the most appropriate farm animal, Stoll, to pick at the away game here.
That could be a little inhumane, actually. Now I think about it.
Let us know what farm animals we need to put in the squad. Good comments coming in from everyone. Why not? We've done it before. I won't say who. No. Yee says via YouTube, what the fuck? I thought we agreed on Leipzig. Yeah, sorry, that's my bad. I just forgot about that. Oscar says, realistically, what does Arzani have that Yakalis doesn't? I mean, Arzani's just got like that good
flavor.
You know what,
bro?
You know what? He's got a nice
Oscar, please, my friend. You have to quote George Clark, I have eyes. Come on.
No, what Arzani has, what all good teams need. And I'm talking about what is something that Eden Hazard, Luis Suarez, and Daniel Arzani all have in common?
Kicking ball boys?
No. A really nice big ass. All right. They got this like nice thick ass that they can just smash into everyone. It makes them amazing at turning, sprinting, tricks, and all that stuff. It makes them really hard to get off the ball. That's what we need. We need a bit of booty in the Socceroos 11. But look, other comments coming in. Popovic is the David Moyes of our league. Yeah, I get what Edmund's saying here.
Well, hey, hang on. Didn't Popovic win an Australia Cup? Moyes went 10 years at Everton without a single trophy. So
Moyes won West Ham's Conference League.
He did win the Conference League. Good shout.
And so, and this is
what
I mean.
One and the same.
No, but it's what Tay was saying before about like I think West Ham fans didn't like Moyes, and as he kind of kept winning games, there was like okay, we want to get him out, but then he won the Conference League, and that actually gave him the credit to stay longer. And then even still, there's this feeling with West Ham that they should be playing better football. And honestly, when you do look at West Ham's lineup, I mean, I know this is Mega Australian football, but Mohamed Kudus, Lucas Paquetá, Jared Bowen, like there's some amazing, really, really exciting players in West Ham, and they still play some pretty turgid football.
Yeah.
But, I think victories, I get the comparison. I understand, because Melbourne Victory, I look at the squad, I think there's some good players.
I think the problem is as time passes, Prem money in the Conference League, I think UEFA might have to rethink whether an English team even enters that competition in the future, because it's already starting to look like a bit of a, I know Italians won the first one, but I'm not confident that competition is going to keep any sort of luster if all the tiny nations are still getting steamrolled by the big Premier League money, even though there's only one English team to try and knock out.
I love the Conference League and Europa League and Champions League. And
I love the idea of the Conference League. I just don't like the idea of one Premier League team being in there to potentially, kick the shit out of all the minnows and then have to beat one La Liga team to win a trophy.
All right, here's how I'm fixing it. Premier League teams, you're in, no problem. But the opposition gets to pick one of your players to go in goals for, West Ham, right? So if you're playing West Ham, you go, yeah, you're playing West Ham, no worries. You guys got way more money than us. Jared Bowen, your goalkeeper, all right? And then we get the excitement of seeing an outfield player going goals, which is one of the greatest things that you can see in football. Joe, what do you think about that idea? A little bit of financial fair play hasn't really evened the playing field enough. This is the way to even it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I love it. Let's bring it in. What I think I think at the moment there's possibly two English Premier League teams can get in the Conference League. Too many. One is plenty, and I think we should introduce some more teams from around the globe, some different competitions. I think if you fall out of the Europa League as well, can you fall into the Conference League from the Europa League?
No, from memory.
Don't think so. I don't think so.
Don't think you can?
No, but that asked me.
I
just produced the Conference League for 2 years at Stan. But anyway, that's all right. I can't believe I didn't know that. Put me on the spot there, Joe. Look, I think we're going to move on from this game. We'll move on to the game today that happened. Macarthur 1, Western Sydney 3. Big questions coming out of this game. Who is good? Is anyone good? What is good? Because, Joe, I watched this game, and the first half, I saw Macarthur all over Wanderers, and I was thinking, geez, the Wanderers are horrendous. What's going on here? And if Popovic is the David Moyes, what's Rudin? Oh, my God, this is horrendous. I know Wanderers fans, there's a lot of they're really struggling to watch this team. And then second half, turned it all around. Early substitutions. Milanovic came off the bench, was sensational. Debut goals, not debut goals, but first goals for two of their international players as well. And created lots of chances. Dylan Pereira's missed a big chance. So second win in a row for Wanderers. 4 points now between them and City in terms of 6v7. So a really important win for them and a really kind of brutal 2 points dropped for City now with that result. But also Macarthur, the way they collapsed, I was like, I thought Macarthur was a lot better than this. Some games they just happen, and you just got to accept them, and they're not part of the wider story. And sometimes good teams are bad, and sometimes bad teams are good. Or was there something more in this? Do you think?
I think in the second half they went full Italiano ball. I think some of their movement and their patterns of play they just looked a lot more free. I will say though, when you can hit a ball as hard as Milanovic did, that is an absolute net buster. I haven't seen a ball hit that hard all season. I don't think, but. Look, they honestly in the second half they came out and they just looked confident. They looked like, what have we got to lose here? We need to start playing a little bit more free, and they moved the ball like that. Their last goal was it the Hendricks goal?
Hendricks,
unbelievable play.
And it was really good because they would move the ball on the left side and it would open up space on the right side. They did it like 4 times or something. But it really, at a certain point, you're like, where has this been all season? Why don't we see this for longer than 15-minute stretches? Teo?
Here's the answer. Here is the XG of their 3 goals. Milanovic 0.12, Kittel 0.29, Hendricks 0.05. Basically, they scored 3 incredibly unlikely goals due to brilliant shooting. And on any other day, Those shots get blocked by defenders, don't hit the target, go over the bar. Today they get 3 goals. And football is so fun when the very, very difficult comes very easily. These are the sort of days that make being a fan of your team a joy to watch, because you can finish chances like that. I mean, the great irony is the best chance they had, Piraeus missing that opportunity, but, they were skinning them in very unlikely circumstances elsewhere.
As Debano says, shooters shoot. But yeah, no, it's a good point you make, and we'll see how the Wanderers go come the next 4 games, and do they make the 6, and do they keep up this unbelievable run of incredible shots? Maybe not. But yeah, it's interesting to see. It's before we go on to the A-League Women's, I actually didn't say what I made Australian football fun for me this week, which 56 minutes into the show, I think is a record. What made Australian football fun for me this week was not in Australia. Did not even involve any Australians. What it was was the top of the table clash in the Premier League. Arsenal versus Man City. So much hype. These 2 teams, favourites for the Premier League, favourites for the Champions League. Teta ball, it's so amazing. Guardiola ball, Pep ball, it's so amazing. Blah, blah, blah. It served up one of the most boring games I've ever seen. I was watching the game. I was on my phone. I was on Duolingo practicing my Spanish. I was texting people. I was organizing things. I was reading things. I was just doing anything to pass the time as I kept an eye on this game. It was fed up. But the reason that this is my favorite thing of the week, or it made Australian football so fun, is because all the people who talk about, I don't follow the A-League because it's not good enough, the matches are boring, the quality is not enough, blah, 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 blah. This disproves it, because this was the 2 best coaches, or 2 of the 3 best coaches, however you want to do it, in the Premier League, the best teams in the world, the best players in the world. And sometimes, no matter how high the quality on the field is and how high the quality of the coaches is, you can still have an unbelievably boring game. And I had much more fun watching, for example, even Newcastle Jets 0, Melbourne City 0. There was more going on in that game. There was more excitement. There was more moments of me going, ooh, what's going on there? So it just proves that all these people just are talking out of their ass and have no idea, and you can enjoy football many times, and there's many different ways to enjoy it. But please do not tell me you're watching it because of the high quality that you see, because this was the highest quality you can get, and it was crap. Joe, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I was disappointed too. It was a snooze fest. Let's be honest. It was a snooze fest. And if you want to see a top of the table clash, I mean, have you seen Costa Barbarouses? Have you seen the form he's in? Have you heard of Nicholas Pennington at the moment? I mean, there's some absolute quality in the A-League. I mean, but I'm with you. I think you can enjoy one, you can enjoy the other, but let's appreciate them both for what they are. And there's some. Don't tell me there's no quality in the A-League. Have you seen the Great Barrier Chief and what he's serving?
Speaking of quality in the A-League, Taylor, let's talk about A-League Women's. Obviously, if you want to see a more in-depth wrap-up, go check out Dub Zone. It's on YouTube. It's on, I don't know, a million things. But Taylor, you were on there and you wrapped up the final weekend of the A-League Women's. But it was a dramatic finish. You talked about, we had the record win with Newcastle away to Adelaide. Adelaide finished bottom of the table. But Melbourne City champions, Sydney FC, had it in their hands and dropped it. A 4-0 loss at home. Teo, take us through the last weekend. Take us through everything that was fun about the last weekend of A-League Women's.
Got to say, what was fun? Probably just, when the stakes are high, teams start doing things that no one expects. And I think that, as much as we are trying to professionalize the A-League women, often, you see this at NPL level as well, being in the hot seat and, the choke factor tends to weigh a lot more on non-professionals than it does on full-time pros. So it doesn't surprise me that we had Melbourne City, 8 points clear, got reeled in by Western United, who themselves went 5 points clear, had a game to go 8 points clear, and then they themselves got reeled in by Sydney FC, who needed to only get a draw across 2 games and lost them both. First time they have lost back-to-back home and away games since 2020, 4 years, 64 games ago. So genuinely unprecedented. Look, Melbourne City won the title thanks to a goal scored by a 15-year-old. That's pretty fun. And the final series is the top 6 for the first time. Same format as the men's. So what I think is really fun is we get a 2-legged semi-final. We've never seen this in the A-League Women's before. Other than the Women's Champions League, you generally tend not to see 2 legs in women's football for anything. I mean, we just experienced it with the Matildas beating Uzbekistan 13-0 on aggregate. So hopefully the first legs don't let us down in that respect. But we've got elimination finals first. I went actually back to October and looked at my A-League ladder prediction. And it turns out I got 5 of the top 6. So, and I didn't even remember that I picked Melbourne City to win the league, but I think that's a good sign because it just goes to show that the 22-game season, a lot longer, we've gone from 12 games to 22 games in the space of 3 years. And instead of feeling like a summer super series for 3 months, it now feels like a proper season. So all of that, very fun.
I like the comments coming in from everyone. John says, can we shout out the kid outside Macedonia Park that I saw jumping on a pile of corrugated fencing? Yeah, shout out to that. I mean, there's a lot of bravery out there. Yeah, go on.
We've been doing this show the whole season now. We haven't had really a special guest. Now, a kid outside Macedonia Park that I saw jumping on a pile of corrugated fencing. We'd love to hear from you. Get in touch.
Hey, are we sure, kid? It isn't like literally baby goat. Like this to me, I think it's in play. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sure he means human child. It could mean baby goat.
We'll see. Simon, and he's saying this as a Perth fan, there is an upside of City winning in Perth. It meant we got to see silverware won in Perth. Yes, not since the NSL has a trophy been lifted.
No, hang on. Sydney FC won a grand final over there not that long ago, 2019.
Oh, that's true. God, speaking of boring games, when I said Arsenal Man City, that was unbelievably bad, that final. Oh, and it went to extra time and penalties. By the way, just on the weekend, I actually survived jet lag and won my own tournament, 7-a-side tournament that I had to play in. And I don't know if you guys have ever played in these all-day tournaments, but basically we had 4 games to play before, the winners went to the semi-finals, and then you had one semi-final to play and one final. So we won 3 of the 4 group games, drew the 4th. Then I didn't really want to play the semi-final because I was exhausted from jet lag and our whole team. And you've got to wait around for the other games to finish, and it's like a 4 or 5 hour thing. Then you get to the semi-final and you think, oh God, let's just lose this so we don't have to stick around for the final. So then we win the semi-final, but of course we win it on penalties. So it even got dragged out like that.
Oh. Right? Extra time? Sorry, is it extra time before penalties?
Yeah, there was a little bit extra time. Then we had to wait around for the 3rd versus 4th playoff, right? So imagine you've just lost the semi-final and then they make you play this 3rd versus 4th playoff. They didn't want to be there. Everyone wants to go home. This is like 6 hours, all right? Like, I love football, but the 6 hours of it gets me a little bit. So then finally we get to the final, right? And the final, we 1-1 in normal time. We have to agree on how much extra time we want to play. We settle on 10. Yeah, strange. We settle on 10 minutes. In the 9th minute of the 10 minutes of extra time, we scored the winning goal. We won the tournament, lifted the trophy. It's actually the second trophy I've won since I've been here in Barcelona. So, I mean, I think I've got a better record than Xavi now, in terms of trophies won per month in the city. So, it was a pretty incredible day, but it is funny that sometimes when you play in these all-day tournaments, you actually are better off just throwing it after 3 games so you don't have to wait around all day. But I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
Congratulations. 2 trophies in one season. Now, you were in Australia last week. Did you jet back for the final? Listen, I know I've got a wedding, but I've got to be back on Saturday. We're playing, I don't know. What are the team names over there? Who are you playing against?
My team is called Inter America. Yes, and I don't know what the other teams' names are. Universo Siete and all these. Who knows?
They're losers. Who cares?
No one remembers who finishes second. But actually, when I was in Australia, what was really interesting was, and I kind of hate when podcasters, but anyone in media, they take something that they've seen in their own life and extrapolate it to be like an overwhelming trend. Bill Simmons is an absolute classic. His daughter was into soccer, so suddenly he was like, "Oh yeah, soccer. It's a bit of an interesting sport, the Barcelona system or whatever." Anyway, but what I will say, I was staying with some friends in Sydney. and they've got a young 6-year-old boy, and he had Matilda's posters on his wall. Now, what you've got to remember is I wasn't around for the Women's World Cup. The real kind of Matilda's revolution that has happened in Australia, I've only seen from afar. You know, they were definitely getting much, much more popular in the kind of years, the last years that I was in Australia. But really, what's changed in like the last 6 months really, really did kind of surprised me a little bit. But he had Matilda's posters in his room. He could name all the Matildas. And then when the Socceroos were playing, he said to me, this is the first time I've watched the boys, and didn't know who they were. And what also is interesting, so the first game against Lebanon, we all thought it was a snooze fest, right? You know, there was the early goal. There wasn't much credit after that. Not him. If you ever want to get excited about Arnie Ball, watch it with a 6-year-old. He is so impressed by the fact that they can kick it really far, the fact that they can run so fast. Anytime that anyone does anything, he just says, that's great skills. And I was watching it with him being like, yeah, it is. That's amazing. Oh, how good is that? Oh, he goes, wow, that throw-in was so far. And I was like, yeah, it's really good. So if you want to enjoy Arnie Ball, watch it with a 6-year-old who loves football and has never seen it play before, because they have nothing to compare it to, and it's sensational. So that was a big eye-opening thing for me. So that's my advice to make Australian football more fun. Get the kids involved. Any final comments for you guys?
Hey, I think
that kid is closer to Socceroos selection than Daniel Arzani.
Wait. Hey, you know what? We should get the kid on the corrugated iron. We should get your little 6-year-old friend, and we should have a viewing party watching Socceroos Bangladesh.
Your little 6-year-old
He's going to think that is the most fun thing in the world. No fun. Great to have you back, Stoll. It's been a pleasure having you host, steer the ship, as we mentioned. I hope there wasn't too many AFL comments, but if there is, deal with it. Congratulations to the Jack Jumpers. They did really well in the NBL this season. I think they lifted the title.
They did. Game 5, a dramatic game 5. You know, I quite like the NBL. I wish actually the NBL was at a different time as the A-League, so I could kind of consume it more. But anyway, something for the future when football inevitably moves to winter, hopefully. Look, thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Big thank you to you, Joe Simon.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
Big thank you to you, Teo.
Thank you, everyone.
When's your next game commentating?
Tuesday night, Australian time. Central Coast Mariners versus Melbourne City. Don't miss it.
Oh, man, a rematch of last year's grand final. That actually will be a great game and a must-win game, I'd say, for Melbourne City. I don't know. I think every game in like the last 5 games, you just keep saying it's must-win, it's must-win, it's must-win, but it does really feel like it's must-win. Look, please, if you can, like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube page so you get notified, follow us on Twitter, go to Reddit, spam them with MAFFS propaganda, take clips out of context, post it on social media. Do everything that helps us grow this, and so we don't have to take the work out of our hands, help make Australian football more fun. We will see you next week at 8 p.m. On Monday night, unless we say otherwise for availability reasons. But we hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week.